What's going on? We back, Motor City Sports Talk. Y'all know what it is. Talking about the rebuild plan for the Pistons. You know, how would I do it? Mr. Motor City Sports Talk. You know, CJ Goodfella. And, you know, I've talked about it in the chat before on other videos, and we commented about it. Some people agree or don't disagree. I just want to have a clear video on this. And, you know, just to do another Piston video for the night, man. And you know, obviously, you know, we have, you know, 3 big contracts on our slate. And me personally, I get rid of all 3 of them. You know, I got a lot of love for Andre Drummond, but I think he deserves better and not to go through a whole nother rebuild. And that's what it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be a rebuild. They tried with Greg Monroe, Drummond, and KCP and stuff of that nature. Yes, they did try. But I think it's you know, completely time to go and start off from scratch, you know. Phoenix got the number 1 pick, and Phoenix can change their fortunes around by getting that pick right, which in my opinion should be DeAndre Ayton. You know, you put DeAndre Ayton in there. You got, you know, the big center, Alex Len. He ain't pretty much did nothing. You know, you put Alex Len in there, Josh Jackson, who had a phenomenal end to last season, Devin Booker. Those are 3 bookends right there. Those are 3 good players to build your team around. I think the Pistons need something similar. They need to completely tear it down, man. And, you know, what the Phoenix Suns did, as I'm using them as a comparison, they traded away Eric Bledsoe. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to see Eric Bledsoe traded away, man. You know, but they had to do it for the greater good of their team. You know, sometimes you got to trade away them talented vets and get a little bit in return or nothing in return to really let those young guys grow. You know, Brandon Knight, I don't know if he, you know, he drowning on the bench or whatever, but they got him out the way. You know, and they let those young guys continue to grow. And if they can retain some of those guys and continue to build young guys around them and get enough vets infused in that lineup, it could be okay. And I believe they could be on the right road. Just with the stroke of luck, you know, they got Devin Booker when we missed on him. You know, Josh Jackson, they evaluated him right. He's looking like a true, like, potential all-star, you know. And if you go over to the Boston Celtics, they done the same thing. They evaluated talent, identified them, and made a way to maximize their picks, you know. Jaylen Brown was the number 3 pick coming out of Cal. You know, and look at him. Look at the young man, how they evaluated it. It's just not the fact that he could play ball coming out of Cal. It's the fact that he wanted to get better. He got stronger, bigger. His game grew. And look at him now. He's leading the Celtics to a 2-0 lead versus the Cavs. Jason Tatum. When people say, oh, Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz, they didn't buy into the hype and watch ESPN. They did their own evaluations, and they got Jason Tatum, who could possibly be the best player out the draft. You know, they made the right moves with getting Al Horford, you know, drafting Marcus Smart. They identifying guys that could be 2-way players. You build your team to beat what's hot in the NBA. You build your team. If everybody likes to score points, well, let me get some guys that can defend, and then we can help grow their offense or can play. Let me get some 2-way players. And that's what I'm getting at with the Pistons. They need to be able to evaluate this talent and get some 2-way players. And that's not what Stan Van Gundy and Jeff Bowers did. Reggie Jackson was not known for his defense. Potentially, could he play defense if he committed? Yeah, but he ain't never did it. Andre Drummond, he's an okay defender, but he ain't no Ben Wallace, no Theo Ratliff. Tobias Harris, when they had him, he wasn't no defender. You feel me? Blake Griffin, we knew he wasn't no defender. Avery Bradley was a good defender, but we know his story. He spoke on it several times this week already, why he ended up getting up out of here. Caldwell Pope, he was due a lot of money. He got like $19-20 million for 1 year with the Lakers this year. Did it pay off for them? No. But it was only a 1-year deal, so they can go ahead and sign LeBron and Paul George, DeMarcus Cousins, something like that. So that's another story for another day. But, you know, Shannon Sharp going to be like, oh, Shay Sharp going to be on the Lakers bandwagon, you know, from undisputed people that watch that show. But the Pistons, what I'm getting at here, the Pistons have to figure out a plan. You know, whoever comes in and run the Pistons, and this is what I would do. I need to learn. I need to get a new scouting department, or I need to retrain my scouting department what to look for in these players. You know, we paying you to go on the road and look at these players. We need better grades. And then from that point, we need players that can stop guys from scoring and can score the ball. And that's what the Boston Celtics pretty much did, and that's what the Phoenix Suns are doing. Devin Booker, he's a fabulous 2-way player. Josh Jackson, a fabulous 2-way player. DeAndre Ayton, if they take him, fabulous 2-way player. So your defense is around, you know, defensive cornerstones, and they all can score. The Pistons need to figure out, all right, who's going to be the top dog? Okay, Celtics going to be the top dog. Philly going to be the top dog, in the future. We got to put a team together that can grow and beat them. Blake Griffin, Drummond, and Reggie Jackson, they not beat none of them teams. Even if you put the Tooth Fairy, Godzilla, and you got King Kong at point guard, it ain't going to happen. So they have to get those guys out of here as fast as possible, man. Even if you got to take a loss, you get those contracts off, you be a terrible team. And when you want to evaluate your talent, no more Darkos, no more Stanley Johnsons, no more Caldwell Popes. We got to hit on these picks, man. And we got to get lucky in the second round and hit on some of those picks so they can be glue guys, which they have. Chris Middleton. Spencer Dinwiddie, but you let him walk. Good glue guys. So you got to get a general manager, our basketball operations, a coach that's going to be willing to play young players and develop young players and get enough vets around them to help them grow. And that's what it has to be. You have to get those young players, identify these players can play two-way basketball. And if you get an offensive juggernaut who can't play defense here and there, that's okay. But long as about 3 of your positions on the floor can definitely flat out start and defend, flat out defend and score the ball a little bit. All right, you know, point guard Chucky Atkins or Chucky D, whatever we're going to call him. Chucky Atkins is a bad thing. He's a real player. All right, we know Chuck, he can't, he ain't the most plentiful scorer. But we drafted a shooting guard. He can fucking shoot. He can score. He can do everything, but he a little shaky on defense. But you know what? Chucky D can score. He can defend. My small forward can defend. Then my center can defend. Then your shooting guard and your power forward, they could be a little bit more of an offensive juggernauts. But when you play team defense, you get them to buy in and get their hands dirty playing team defense, then you got something special. And that's what the Pistons are going to have to do. You got to find your defensive stoppers. Because at the end of the day, you look at the Cavaliers, even a year or two ago with Kyrie and LeBron, a year ago. The reason they beat Golden State, it wasn't the fact that Golden State was too much for them. It was the fact that they 3 stars did not play any defense. People that was guarded by LeBron James shot 66% in last year's finals. Kyrie wasn't defending like he was defending in Boston this year, and we know Kevin Love don't defend. But if your 3 main players can defend, and then they can score too, and whatever they lack in scoring, you can bring off the bench or you can fill it with those other 2 positions. That's how you build a team. You build a team where the players complement each other and uplift their weaknesses. You see what I'm saying? So if we got 3 good defenders and one of them or 2 of them is okay scores, then the other 2 shooting guard, he got to be a great scorer. You got to identify that he got to come in and get buckets, or you got to bring someone off the floor to get off the bench to get buckets. Your power forward got to go in and get buckets. You build a solid team. You build a team to beat the trending team of the day, which is going to be the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. And then if you build to beat them, you don't build in the mode of what's hot in the NBA right now. You build to beat your competition. And what's always in style is defenders. And the Pistons have to get back to the identity of drafting naturally gifted defenders that can score. They don't have to be the greatest scorer because, like I said, you can fill those other scoring positions in other positions with scores. You just got to get them to buy into playing team defense. And that's what it's have to be. And what they have now is not what they need as far as winning ball. These players are not going to win here. You got to get them out of here. Drummond, Jackson, Blake Griffin, move them. Move them. Even if you're taking the losses, you got to move them. You want to be terrible next year. You want to find those stars that you build around, and you got to build to beat the teams the top teams of the NBA today. And it sounds silly, but it starts up top with Tom Gores hopefully getting help from the NBA or a higher agency, and finding the top guy that can really get the scouting department in order. That can get the head coach in order, and we're going to develop this talent. We're not looking to win right now, but I'm going to give you a 5-year contract for job security because I believe in you. And Tom Gores, I'm going to need 5 years for the VP because it's going to take time. We're going to have to take a loss to go forward and make some gains. And that's what it's got to be. Because superstar talent and all-stars not going to just walk in here. You got to draft them and build this organically. Once you build it, make sure you build it right. Make sure you have a standard for the players that you want to draft and bring in this Detroit Pistons uniform. And make sure they complement each other. They're able to grow together. They're able to get the time together. And then you put the right vets around them to help this thing grow and go to the next level. It's have to be, the bad boys and the going to work Pistons all over again. Stop, let's talk about it. Stop the skid. We tired of going through transition modes where the bad boys, terrible in the 90s, go to hard work Pistons, terrible after that. It got to stop now. You got to build this team, just like you built Jack McCloskey, built the original Detroit Bad Boys. What Joe Dumars did was a flash in the pan. It may never happen again in sports. We're getting Chauncey, Rip, Ben by trade, and Rip by trade, and all that happening. It ain't going to happen again. You got to build it the right way. And once you build it the right way and your system get to rolling, you will never take a dip off like the Pistons have been dipping off in the past. So I definitely appreciate it. Motor City Sports Talk, we gone.